The life of a baller, 14 karat baller. Oh shit, what am I even singing? I didn't even realize I hit record. Here's a question. What do you do when you feel like you're just going through the motions? You know? Like, have y'all just ever been in such a funk where you're like, oh my god, if I have to endure another day of the same shit, I'm literally gonna crash out. I'm literally gonna lose my mind. Let me just say, I feel like this happens very frequently to me. And I don't necessarily know if that's a good thing. Probably not. I mean, I love routine, don't get me wrong. But I feel like there's a difference between feeling trapped and enjoying the consistency in your life. You know what I'm saying? I really want to explore the deeper meaning behind this feeling of like being trapped or like feeling trapped, especially as it relates to adulthood. You know, I really want to challenge societal norms that may have contributed to this, and then I really want to take a look at like how to combat that feeling of being trapped and what we can do to pull ourselves out of this mundane reality that we've found ourselves in. There's always going to be these ebbs and flows in life, right? Like, and to give you, a picture with that, it's kind of like the ocean. Sometimes life is super still, like motionless almost, but then it picks up. It gets a little choppy, maybe even a little exciting, maybe a little scary, But it really comes down to balance at the end of the day. Like, what I want you all to walk away here knowing is that there's always a choice. And that doesn't mean that life won't still bring that choppiness, that those waves, but we can either move with them or be stubborn as fuck like I am normally and try to fight against them. All right? So let's explore this. If there is one saying that I hate, it's this, okay? Well, that's just the way life is. What? Like, really? Or this is my favorite one, right? You say some shit like, well, that's just not fair. And then somebody responds, life's not fair. Like, I fucking hate that shit, bro. Like, I really hate that shit. And this seems to be a lot of the responses that I feel like older people give us young folk when we try to express our deep frustration with how unbelievably challenging and stupid becoming a fucking adult is. Like, there was a time when I feel like life felt just a lot more freeing. We didn't have all this responsibility or just like financial burdens to restrict us from just living life normally. Like, I miss that shit, And I don't know about all of you, but I just miss having that freedom as a kid. And it's crazy because all I ever wanted to do when I was a kid was grow up and be a fucking adult. But now that I'm here, I'm like, what are we doing? Like, this shit fucking sucks, And like, of course, yes, we have more freedom to make our own decisions and do some of those cool adult things, but that also means we have to be fucking responsible too. Like, I have to pull the we don't have food at home card on my ass all the time, and it pisses me off. The point I'm trying to make is that we grow up believing that being an adult means being able to do whatever we want, but no one warns us about the burdens and responsibilities that actually comes with it. And I just don't think that this transition to adulthood is being talked about enough. Why is it that for so long everyone has just been okay with this way of life in society? Like, y'all are just okay living like this? I don't fucking understand that shit. We're just all okay with working a fucking 9 to 5 and fucking having credit scores and fucking being in financial debt for most of our lives. Like, what the fuck are we doing, you know? To put it blankly, like, you're telling me I'm supposed to go to college when I'm basically a fetus, talking about no money to my name, like, whatsoever. But that's okay because I'll just take out a fucking fat ass loan to cover the 4 fucking years I have to go to school to get a fucking degree to actually land a decent paying job, which, by the way, let's not forget that before all this, we need to get a non-paid internship while we're in school. Just so that employers know that we're doing our job right. Like, fuck. And then, right after you get out of college, babe, let's start paying back all those loans. Right away. And then, let's add rent, car insurance, health insurance, bitch, the whole 9 yards. It just makes absolutely no fucking sense to me. And, I mean, obviously, I'm very passionate about this, but I just think it's fucking ridiculous. Like, it almost feels like I had no control over some of these things. You know, like, I was just doing what I was supposed to be doing, and now, all of a sudden, I'm sitting here, I'm 25, trying to pay back debt from when I was a fucking fetus. I still don't have a great credit score. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, what the fuck is a credit score? And why do I need it to be so fucking good in order to buy big shit? Like, maybe I want to buy a house, bro, but I can't because my fucking credit score is bad. How is it bad? What is a credit score, bro? Like, fuck. Whew, deep breath. I'm sorry. I'm, like, seriously getting really passionate about this, and I need to reel it in, but this shit pisses me off. And especially because I feel like no one warned me, and I don't feel like it's being talked about enough. And it's just like this unspoken thing that everyone has just chalked up to, oh, well, that's just life. Well, like, no, like, I'm done accepting that. Like, what do you mean this is just life? Like, you guys are just, again, like, you're all just okay living like this. So, fuck that. I'm calling it out because it's bullshit. So, it's getting called out because what are we doing? All this to say, I feel like this is a huge part of why I think we feel so trapped is because no one hands you, like, a roadmap or a toolkit on how to become a fucking adult. You know, you kind of just end up here and then figure it out as you go. You know, everybody's like waving. Yeah, I don't know how I fucking got here, but here I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so frustrating. So I know that I can't be the only one that feels this way because I've talked to people my age who feel this way. And again, like, that's not to say, and I guess it's not to say that it's not being talked about, like, in the mainstream, but I just feel like you kind of have to look for it. So anyway, we're going to start talking about it more because the way life has been set up for us just seems so fucking wrong. Okay? So let's stop being okay with this idea that this is just the way life is. Because what are we doing? Now, if you're like me, you've probably found yourself caught in the traditional 9 to 5 that society has just so conveniently trapped us in. And while, yes, I could most definitely do a whole entire episode on the ridiculous... deep breath. And while, yes, I could most definitely do a whole entire episode dedicated to the ridiculousness that is the 9 to 5, but I will keep it concise and most likely address that in a later episode. Anyways, there is this feeling of being trapped that you know, I feel like a lot of people, especially in my generation, are experiencing as they step into adulthood. And let me be very clear, I'm very grateful for my job and my position. My frustration lies with the idea that working 40 hours a week leads to a healthy and balanced lifestyle. And you know what's even crazier is that people used to actually work more than 40 hours a week. Which, listen, I also know there are people that still work over 40 hours a week because their full time doesn't pay enough or they're working overtime or whatever. So I recognize that this is still happening. But there was a time when working over 40 hours a week was normal, okay? And like that was like the norm. Like your one job was working like 70 hours a week type shit. And it wasn't until Henry Ford stepped in and was like, no, we're not doing this. Like we're going to cut, those hours down to just be 40 hours a week. And then I guess the rest of society followed. And mind you, like this happened in 1926, bitch. Okay. We're in 2025, but let's not talk about how much society loves change because we're going to be here all fucking day. But, and you can look that up on Google. I'm literally just like speaking from what I've read a couple times online because I've literally been so frustrated by this shit. I'm like, where the fuck did this even originate from? Come to find out, people were working more than 40 hours a week. What is happening? Are we okay? Anyway, if you do the math, and this is, again, public information, looked it up on Google, you know what I'm saying? We have ChatGPT nowadays, so the average person spends about 90,000 hours at work over a lifetime. And apparently, this is like 10 years of your life. What? Like, and listen, if you don't love what you're doing, there's a pretty high chance that you are definitely one of those people who feels trapped. You feel burned out and you feel unfulfilled because it's taking up so much of your time. I think we've also been looped into this idea or like pulled into this idea that we have to be working every single second of the day while we're there. Otherwise, we're not being productive. And I hate that. It's almost like we feel extremely guilty if we're not completely invested in the entire part of our workday, which is honestly just insane and unrealistic. I mean, it's important that we take breaks, and we definitely don't need to be productive 100% of our day to feel accomplished. However, I know that doesn't make the guilt feel any less real. And that's something that I feel like I've really had to learn how to let go a little bit as I've stepped into adulthood. Like, because it's so, I just remember like transitioning into a 9 to 5, like into the 40-hour work week, like after college. And I had worked like other jobs that were like, 40 hours a week, but not like a traditional 9 to 5. And once I transitioned into that 9 to 5 lifestyle, I just constantly felt like I had to be working all day. You know what I mean? Like, nobody ever talks about the importance of like taking breaks. Like you don't have to be sitting at your computer. You should stand up every 25 minutes. Like nobody talks about that shit, bro. So I'm thinking like, oh my God, like I'm going to get fucking fired if I'm not sitting at my desk for 9 fucking hours, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I've learned that, as long as I'm getting the work done and I'm doing my job well, I don't need to feel like I have to be putting in every ounce of myself into my job every single day. Like, that's just ridiculous to me, and it burns you out. It really does. And I think if money and security weren't a factor, I feel like a lot more people would be doing what they love. And a lot more people would feel fulfilled and, inspired by life. But unfortunately, we live in a reality that does not support Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I'm throwing crazy smart shit out here. Like, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I took one psychology class in college and I think I'm fucking Freud. So here we are. But seriously though, we do not live in a reality where society supports individual dreams. And I hate that. The 9 to 5 seems so purposeful to me, if that makes sense. Like, it's just another form of distraction that pulls us away from finding and following our true purpose in this life. And I feel like I'm low-key sounding crazy talking right now, but I feel like it's just facts, you know what I'm saying? Like, we feel trapped out of fear, and fear likely always wins because it keeps us from doing something we don't want to fail at or that we don't want to regret doing. But here's where I'm at. What if fear is also the very thing that leads us to the life we were always meant to live? Regardless if we succeed or not, you know, it's the person that we become as a result of doing those things that scare us the most. I'm fucking, that was clean. Like, sometimes I just be dropping bars and I'm like, did that really come from my brain? Like, what is happening? Anyway, I do feel like there is, you know, a way to conquer this feeling of being trapped, especially, you know, as most of us are starting to venture into this adulthood. And here it is, okay? We need to start dismantling the beliefs that society has made us feel trapped by. Like, going to college is the only way. The 9 to 5 is the correct path. Married with kids leads to a meaningful life. Not saying that these things can't bring people joy, but this is what has been fed to us, right? We need to step outside of society's box and conquer those fears surrounding security, surrounding comfort, you know, like get uncomfortable. Fuck. And I'm not saying this is easy. This takes a lot of courage. I recently stepped way outside of my comfort zone. And honestly, I'm like extremely grateful that I did because I learned a lot about myself in the process. And I feel like now I'm like, it'll be easier for me to go and do things more outside of my comfort zone. But anyways, quick story time. As you all know, I went on this work trip that I've been talking about, you know, this past summer. And obviously it completely changed my life in more ways than one. Well, I was so fucking inspired by that conference that when it got over, I ended up texting my boss and I said, you know what? I want to present to our staff at opening day in August. Like, let's do it. And I was like, immediately after I sent that text, I was like, what the fuck did I just do? Like, what in the fuck? I have not spoken in front of anyone in that way, like in a presenting way since like fucking college. And even in college, I was not fucking good at it. I was terrified. I hated doing it. But I don't know what came over me. I was just like, fuck it, like, whatever. And, you know, it's a very valid fear to have. Like, public speaking is not for the weak, let me just say. And so naturally, I was terrified, but I was like, look, you know, you have this podcast, you speak into a mic to people. Well, one day this is going to be big enough. You're going to have to do this in front of people. You're going to have to speak in front of people, in front of a live audience. World tour type shit. No, maybe not world tour. Let's start in the States first. You know what I'm saying? But I would love to go on a tour one day and talk in front of people. Anyways, everyone has to start somewhere. So I was like, you know what? This is my perfect opportunity. Let's go speak and just see what the fuck happens, right? You guys, this presentation I spent months preparing for. Listen, had 7 people show up to it. For my first time speaking in front of people in that way, I'm not mad at it. You know, the point is that I did something that fucking terrified me. And by the end of it, I was like, you know, I don't care that there was 7 people because I'm fucking proud of myself. It takes courage to face the things that scare you. But when you conquer them, fuck, dude. I felt like a brand new bitch, babe. You know what I'm saying? I was like, sign me up for the next TED Talk, bitch. I'm a Brene Brown the fuck out of that shit. Like, come on. If we don't challenge ourselves, we're never going to grow. Like, that's just point blank period. Being comfortable and safe all the time makes life really fucking boring. And look, staying in our comfort zone can feel really fulfilling in the moment sometimes because it does feel safe, right? But I also think that we're always going to feel that little itch or that pull that calls us to something new. Because if we stay there, we're always going to feel trapped. So here's what I want to say. You always have a choice. You can choose to be trapped in this reality that society has laid out for us, or you can choose to be courageous and start stepping out of the box, venture out a little bit, and see what the unknown has to offer you. And you know what? You might be pleasantly surprised. So, tapping into what we've learned today. Well, being an adult sucks, obviously. That's a fucking given. Society has conveniently laid out this beautiful reality that distracts us from reaching our full potential. But probably the most important thing is that we have a choice, okay? We don't have to stay trapped. We can leave the box whenever we want to. But it takes courage to be a little scared of something, you know? And to challenge ourselves to see what it's like out there in the world of unknowns. I'm not going to sit here and act like it's easy to make that choice, but at the same time, that's the point. Like, it's not easy. You know what I mean? Following the grain is easy. Staying in your comfort zone is easy. But doing something that scares you, that shit is fucking hard, dude. And I'm starting to sound a little bit like a broken record at this point. But I want to leave you guys with this. Number 1, it is so normal to feel trapped in today's society. Being an adult is fucking ghetto, dude. It is. And it's hard. But at the end of the day, we will always have a choice. And you are capable of stepping outside of your comfort zone. You are capable of doing things that scare you. So, the last thing is this. Don't let fear rule your reality. I know it's fucking scary out here, and I know that people have created this, well, that's just the way life is mentality. But if you lean into that fear, if you lean into those waves sometimes when it's choppy, the sun's going to be on the other side. You get what I'm saying? So challenge yourself. Put yourself out there because you will be shocked by the outcome. Okay? All right, that's it. I'm done. I'm done. I'm hanging up the mic. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys come back next week. I still don't know if anybody's fucking listening, but I guess I don't give a fuck because build it and they will come, right? So I don't know. I'm throwing Bible quotes out and I'm not even religious, so let me be done. Let me finish the episode. And let me preface by saying I'm spiritual, just not okay. I'm done. All right.
See you guys next week. Bye.